Oh, we are live, guys. So, welcome everybody to EMB, the Pro Networking Series. This is Scott, and I'm Landscapes by Acme. And today we're going to talk about working less, making more green. I have my extra host, Mike Gunn here, and Paul Camara. So, let's go ahead and then introduce yourselves, Paul.
Hi, I'm Paul Camara, third generation landscaper, own Spring Green Landscaping in Rhode Island, small company. Try to stay in the detailed side of landscape installation and maintenance. And that's about it. That's the short story.
Okay. Well, Mike, what about you?
Mike Gunn Landscaping out of Noblesville, Indiana. Been at it for 10 years, been big, been small, and now it's just me and one other guy, and I'm enjoying the heck out of it. A lot less stress. So, yeah, been doing it for a little while, long enough to get bored with it, and then regain some love for it in the meantime, you know?
Right. So we've all been in the business for years. Paul said you said you've been third generation. So, I mean, your business is probably pretty big, or did you downsize at any time?
Well, my grandfather started back in the early 60s, and
Okay.
my father had his own business, and his business got kind of big. At like peak seasons, we were up to about 15, 20 guys. And in 2000, I purchased the landscaping part of it from my father. Tried to grow it in 2006 and figured out that my personality just doesn't fit with a large business. The stress, the headaches, employee issues, customer complaints, it just doesn't work with me. So we focused in on what we do well and stayed on that.
Nice. I mean, Mike, you said you've been up and down. I know I've been there too. So, what's been your highest? How many people have you had working for you when you were up at your highest?
We had 10 guys at one time and 3 crews, you know, give or take the day and what we were doing. But yeah, I think it's funny what Paul says, because that's the exact same thing with me. You just find out that your personality maybe isn't fit for that. Some guys, you know, are are good at managing people and, you know, and the back end work, and they find passion in that. And then some of us are more hands-on and just love the art of it and all that. And, you know, don't like going to sales meetings and all that all day long. So I think that's funny. It's pretty much the same story on my end.
Right.
Same with you, Scott, right?
Yeah. I mean, at one point we had 4 trucks out. I had 12 guys working for me, and then it just the headaches, the stress, trying to make sure everybody was where they were at. It just, put a toll on me. And, now I'm back down to, I'm running 1 truck. It's just me, another guy. I have my wife, and my oldest comes out, during the summers when he's out of school. And, I'm not as stressed as much. I take my time and make sure everything looks good, and, give it my 100%. And that's, everybody likes that. It amazes people when you show up as a couple guys, and you can just knock out just as much as like 10 guys can in one day. And they can say, well, wow, I've never seen a company do that before. And it's about our experience. We've all got the experience. We've all been in business long enough that we know what we're doing and know how to do it. And it doesn't take that time for it, And,
Right.
All of us can contest to that. I mean, we've been in there, close. You've been what, 10 years, Mike?
Yeah. And I think it's funny too. A selling point for me when I do get new customers or clients or whatever you want to call them is the fact that I am out there doing the work, me and some help, but a lot of these larger companies, they may be able to do more quantity, maybe less profit margins or whatever, because they're offering so much quantity as far as, jobs they can knock out in a week or whatever. But
Right.
Most of my customers that have hired me for 10 years now or that are new are pretty impressed to see me out there doing the work too. And you can charge more for that, when you're more niche or more, what do they call it? Like kind of a mom and pop or I don't know, business, I can't think of the term of it now, but
Specialized.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
specialized
Yeah.
along those lines, but they hire you for you, right? And because they know
Right.
that you love and have a passion for what you're doing, and anybody you ever hire is never going to have that kind of passion, which, you know, um, you can say that, but maybe some kids do that want to get into this or whatever, but they'll never have the love for your business like you do, right? And
Right.
and that can wear you down a little bit if you let it. But I think that's a good point. Is most of our customers that hire us, being smaller, are usually pretty impressed by the quality, the quantity that we can do,
Right.
and the craftsmanship too. But we care more, we have that attention to detail, because at the end of the day, our pride is, in all that detail.
Right.
There is what people overlook is that there are different classifications of customers too out there. There are customers that can deal with a lower quality work. That's what they want. They're more cost oriented. And then there are customers that actually look for people similar to us that are on the site. They don't want to have anybody unless the owner is there and have that oversight and that attention to detail like you're talking about. So it all really comes down to the customer as well, if they're willing to have that, because some aren't, but some really are.
Yeah, it's like shopping at Walmart, or
Exactly.
or shopping at some
Yep.
local custom shop in town, where the prices are going to be a little higher, but the quality and the experience you have is a totally different ball game.
Exactly.
Yeah, some are just
Right.
coupon shoppers looking for the bottom line, just want to get it done,
Right.
and there's a lot of that out there, and there's a lot of companies that's a perfect fit for them. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. I see that all the time. I mean, that's one thing. A lot of the customers that we have, they want to know that I'm going to be on the site at all times. Especially if we're doing a big landscape job, or even if we're just mowing, they want to know that I'm going to be there to make sure that everything's getting done the way they want it done. And they're not looking at before. When I had the crews, they would be like, "Oh, where's Scott at? Where's Scott at?" This isn't getting done. And then I'm having to run from one spot of the town to come over here to make sure it's getting done the right way. And now it's just, they're all like, okay, I see you out there, I know you're there. I can go out there and talk to you. I can say, hey, I need this done. Can you do that? Or, it's not waiting for a call to come in. They come out and they tell you what they want. If they need something extra, or, you can say, hey, I see this. I'm here, let's get this done. So,
yeah, and there's a certain amount of efficiency on your end that comes from that too, where I think we're able to see a little bit larger profit margins, because you're already out there. You're not managing 10 crews, driving around constantly, making sure they're good to go. And then all the other headache that comes with that, which some guys, and gals thrive on. But then some of us, like Paul was saying, it just stresses us out, and when I got into this industry, I did it because I loved it. I loved what I was doing, and I loved working outside, and I loved the creativity aspect of it. As a business owner, that just came with it, right? And so then, as the company grew, and you're acting more as the business owner, and all of the solving all the problems all the time, and all the headaches and selling and all that, you're not necessarily out in the field. That's for me. That's when a couple of years of that, I realized that this is really taking my love for this industry away pretty rapidly here. So we all got to figure out where we fit in, right? Get in where you fit in, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So Paul, you specialize in just landscaping, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So how many guys do you got work for you right now?
Right now I have, for forever we've been a 4-man crew. So it's me and 3 other guys. One of them has been with me for over 20 years, since actually he worked for my father when I left my father, so he's been with me ever since. But he's 67, and he can work harder than my 40-year-old without a doubt. And my 40-year-old's a hard worker too, so if he's watching this, I don't want him to get upset.
Nice.
But so we've had the 3, and we're a 1 crew business. We don't split up. We hardly ever leave each other, and I'm with them all the time. We do 1 job at a time, and that's the way we handle it, like that. We only have we only have about 15 weekly places that we visit weekly. And we got probably another 10 to 15 customers that we see monthly or when they call us for planting work or stuff like that. And you know, it was funny when I saw the, you know, work less for more green. The first thing that came to my mind is like, I work more really in the field. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
But the thing that struck me and that what I thought about mostly is that I work less in the office. That's where I straighten myself out. 'Cause I hate the office. I hate being in here. I hate doing the billing. So you know, back then we figured out how could I spend less time in here, and that's having 15 customers, you know, weekly customers, and just send them out, you know, their bills once a month, and that's it, and not have to worry about 100 or 200 or whatever the amounts that companies my size usually have.
Right. So, oh yeah. I mean, I see so many companies that have tons and tons. I mean, when I was at the peak, I had 125 customers, and it just, you know, on a weekly basis, if you're running around, and then like you said, the back end of doing all the paperwork is just, it's
terrible.
Just, it took forever. You know, you're spending, I think, you know, I think I was spending every Sunday in the office just trying to make sure everything was getting taken care of, paperwork, making sure bills were going out. You know, that's 8 hours. You know, and that's,
or even with toothpicks holding your eyes open and you're making mistakes as you're doing it, right? So
you forget to bill that one customer, and you're like, crap, you know, I forgot to bill that.
My thing was, it was hard on my family. You know, hard on me, and then in turn hard on the family, because then you know, they're not getting the best of my time either, and that's what was killing my marriage and killing my family. You know, and that's the biggest thing now is just less stress. And like going back to what you were saying earlier, Paul, it depends. I think it depends on what you call work. You know, sitting in the office when you have to strap yourself down to the office chair and get that stuff done that you don't want to do. It's part of it. We got to do it, but yeah, when you're out in the field, you know, soaking up the sun when it is sunny, you know, and enjoying it, that's totally different. Yeah, I don't call that work either. And you know, some guys, they want the more passive income where they own the business and they have somebody that runs it, and you know, everybody in place. And there's a certain mentality for that out there too. I know a lot of successful people in this industry that do it that route where they're not even involved, you know. So there's all different types of routes you can take. I think the three of us maybe have just found the sweet spots where we have our name out there, you know, and we can kind of pick and choose our clientele and who we want to work with, and get rid of the pitas, you know, as you hear all the time, and enjoy it more because of that too.
You go from, I mean, many of the companies that are around here and the people I know, a lot of people are on, you're basically a commodity kind of a business, really, where if you're $5 more than the next guy mowing that lawn, you're going to get picked over because the next guy can do it for $5 less. Where my thought was when I started doing, I wanted to be more in the power position. I wanted the customer to be afraid of losing us. And when I decided to do that, you really have to up your game. You have to have the knowledge and the abilities to make your customer not want to leave you, but also have the relationship with them that you see them every week, and like the older customers sit down and, you know, chat about what's going on in their lives and just form that you know, that bond, relationship, so that you're more in a position that you're not going to get passed over a $5 rate hike. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, they're, you know, they've hired you, they like you, and for who you are, and then your work kind of comes along with it.
Right. Exactly.
Yep.
Oh yeah. I mean, I see a lot of companies, especially in our area, that, you know, because that owner's not around, that a lot of, you know, clients don't know who the owner is, you know. So then, you know, with us, you know, they know that the owner's there. They know who the owner is. They, you know, they know every guy that's working with you half the time. You know, a lot of my customers know exactly who's working with me. So they know, oh, here's Jim. He's doing a great job. Here, oh, hey, that's your son. You know, he's doing a great job today. You know, can you ask him to do this for me? You know, they know who you are and who you have working for you. And it's, you know, you get to these bigger companies, they don't know anybody that's working for you half the time, you know, and it's
a different guy the next week, you know, especially with the, you know, labor force today.
That's,
you know,
that's a scary thing to talk about, but
I mean, it's kind of makes me happy I've chosen the position I have, you know, in the last year or so, and not really trying to grow anymore. You know, the guy I've got working with me now, he's been with me since the first part of last year. And then I had another guy working with me for about 8 years, and they grew to know him, you know, and now they're kind of wondering where's Chris at, you know?
Right.
So yeah, they develop relationships with all of you, you know, for sure. All of your guys too. Take care of the things that take care of you. That's one of my big things. And if you take care of your guys that work with you, they're going to take care of you and your clientele too.
Sure.
Right. So what would you say you said the office was the most stressful, Paul. So Mike, what's the most stressful for you when you had so many crews?
Managing it, all the crews. And when I was up to 10 guys on average, I have to say on average, because every day you never knew who was going to come in. And I don't put any of the blame on them. I'm a big proponent of no excuses, because that was in the end my fault. I didn't know what I was doing, and my piss poor management skills and scheduling, which I'm still horrible at to the day, but that was stressing all of them out, and I can go on for hours on stories of these guys that worked with me off and on through those years. But that was stressful, and just not knowing who was going to show up, not knowing what the weather was going to give us, and having to schedule 3 crews on average, and what we like, just keeping up with it. And my mind didn't function like that. I don't know if I realized pretty quickly that I'm not built to be in a management position like that, with that much stress on the line. All these guys and gals, families, were depending on me and their hours and everything else. And I just, maybe I thought about it way too much, but it just wasn't a good fit for me.
I understand.
What about you, Scott? I mean, did you have some of the same issues? What was it for you?
I'd say just the repairing. I mean, my guys would just tear up stuff. They would destroy a weed whip or destroy a blower. They'd throw it around or they'd run into something, and it would, the whole point of just repairing everything was just stressful, because you would work 10-hour day and come back and spend 2 hours trying to fix something to make sure you had the equipment for the next day. And that took the biggest toll on me, I think, on the whole factor of that. And like you said, employees was always a big thing of just knowing who was going to show up, when they were going to show up. I mean, I don't have, like Paul, someone that's been there 20 years. That's awesome to have somebody that that dedicated to be there 20 years. It's just it's hard to find them people, especially in our area. There's tons and tons of companies.
Yeah, and there's a lot to combat with that too. You can say, pay them more, give them benefits, whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, I mean, I've paid really good rates in the past, and guys still won't show up. When they're here, they work great, but then there's days that they just decide not to get out of bed, and then they don't care about your equipment. It seems like, I'm not saying everybody, but they'll never care as much as you do, right? But that's that's a big one.
And what you're saying, Mike, there is the biggest thing is that they don't care as much as you do. That's saying that you care a lot. So your promises that you're making your customers are the promises that you're breaking when they don't show up.
Yeah.
So that's when it's, for me, that was the hard thing, was I'm making promises to people and you guys aren't showing up to fulfill those promises.
Yeah.
So that's when you're like, I don't want to do this anymore, because in my opinion, I'm a reputation-based kind of a company where, if you're dealing with Paul, that you're going to get, in the area locally, you're going to get something good. So you have to keep that going. And it's hard to make those promises and have that kind of, something around you, and you just mess it up with the wrong kind of employees. And the employees are unfortunately a necessity, but they're the hardest part of the industry, I think.
That's a full-time gig within itself when you have employees, just managing that and having some guys on backup, And
I love my guys. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, 20, I think the other one's either 13 or 14 years. Yeah, he's been here long, and the other one 5 or 6 years. So, yeah, they've been here for long, but it's definitely the hardest part of the industry.
I think that speaks highly, though, when you say that we care more, and most of the time our customers get that, and that's why they hire us, and they're okay with the rates we charge, is because they know they're going to get what you've sold them,
Right.
whereas you're not cutting
Right.
corners or anything. There's been
Right.
times, where I've taken on more work than I can possibly handle, where
Yeah.
we're struggling to keep up, and scheduling's an issue, but most of the time they're okay with that, and knowing that
Right.
eventually the work's going to get done and the quality is going to be there. Just Gunn doesn't know how to keep a schedule. So
No
Right.
is a very difficult thing to say to a client,
Yeah.
especially a good client.
Yes.
that's probably been the
Very
hardest
difficult.
thing to
I don't
learn in
care what
business, for
anybody
sure.
says. Oh, you got to learn to say no. That's
Yep.
difficult when one of your
Especially when
bigger-
you care.
Right, when you care.
Oh, yeah.
I'm having a party. I'm having my daughter's having a wedding in July. We need to redo this whole thing. I'm like, what? You're going to tell me now? So, but we get it done.
Yeah.
You just got to figure it out. And then the other customers know that you dropped everything for them, 2 or 3 years ago that, all right, I got it. Just do it. I'll tell them. I says, I have a wedding that's coming in July. Don't worry about the mulch this year, Paul. Just keep it clean. All right.
Yeah.
That's cool. So having
gotta
that
train 'em
relationship
to-
with those customers is pretty good.
Yeah. Especially
Yeah.
once they learn that they need to tell you that kind of information in February, March,
They never do, Mike. You know that. They never do.
No, it's always 2 weeks beforehand to say,
Right.
oh, we
Yeah.
need this tree, we need this mulch, we need
Yep.
this landscaping
Right.
done, and you like Paul said, you gotta get in there and just, okay, well, we'll get it done for you. We don't want to lose you. You're one of our best clients, so we're not
Right.
gonna say no, but it's a toll on you. I mean, it's quick. Oh, let's push this over here real quick, but we'll still get it done. It
Right.
just,
Yeah. Who gets
last
put on the
year-
back burner now?
last year
Right.
was last year was kind of funny because everybody was at home, and you kind of know from year to year from doing this for so long that customer's going to want mulch this year and that one's not going to want it
Mhm.
because we did it last year, and last year everybody wanted it. Everybody. We're at
Right.
home, and 80. Well, I'm going to do the whole thing this year. Oh, do the whole thing this year.
Right.
How?
We're actually going to see it. That's
Oh
true.
yeah. So Josh says your Uncle Paul. When did you give birth? When did your family give birth to Josh?
I don't have a nephew named Josh, so I don't know who that is.
Wow, Josh. Well, I mean, Paul you
I
are
don't
very
see the
knowledgeable.
comments. I don't see the comments, Scott. So I don't know who we're talking about there. So
Caravan, Josh Caravan.
aha.
So yeah. So I mean, you are very knowledgeable. I mean, you do know your stuff, and I mean that it definitely pulls out. When you're talking to a client, and everybody's got to know what they're talking about when you talk to a client. That's the only way you're going to sell them, especially if you're staying smaller, or even if you want to get
Absolutely.
bigger. You want to know what you're talking about. So
Well, if you want to stay small, Scott, and you know this better than all of us, you have to specialize. And if you're going to specialize, you're either going to
Right.
just do a ton of mowing, or if you really want to make some money, you got to specialize in something a little bit higher, where it's either horticultural services, hardscaping, or fertilization, or specialize in something that can make as much money as you can, make every hit count, make every time you're out there making money. And so that's hard on the mower. That's a
Right.
difficult thing to do on the mower. There's got to be something more to give. And I've always say something stupid like this, but I make more money with a hand clipper than I do with a walker mower. Even though I love my walker mowers,
right.
the hand pruner I can make more money on, just because there's no fuel, there's no upkeep, there's no anything on that. But a
Right.
lot of people don't understand that. They don't want to
Mhm.
put the time in to learn how to do the pruning correctly, and search out the customers that want them to do the pruning correctly. So
Yeah.
Right.
That's the thing is,
Oh, yeah.
mowing, anybody can get a mower, yes, but a lot more people find that interesting to them, rather than pruning and proper pruning habits and all that, and plant healthcare, that, that's less of an interest, but I think that's why you can charge a little bit more for that, because there's more demand.
right.
Oh, yeah,
That's my biggest
definitely.
problem, though. You talk about like niching down or niching or however you want to say it. That's my issue, is like I do it all, and that's not a good thing, just because I like variety. But I mean, our specialty is more full service accounts where we do everything around, the entire property. But then I'll
Right.
sprinkle in some patios and hardscaping projects, drier summer months and into winter, But that's a hard thing to do, is figure out one good thing that you're really good at and excel at that. Because if you're trying to do everything, you're never going to be good at one thing, right?
That's what
Right.
we were for my father's business. We were landscaping and masonry. My father was a stonemason. We did a lot of stonemasonry and brick, fascias of houses and chimneys and fireplaces. We did a lot of that. Plus, we were doing irrigation. We were doing landscape maintenance. We were doing landscape installation. We were doing so much. And the funny thing was when I left and just specialized in landscaping, that's when landscape architects came to talk with me, landscape designers, other landscapers, because they didn't feel threatened by the person that does everything. The person that does everything is almost a little threatening to other landscapers. So it's very hard to make friends with all those guys. And those guys are great, great sources of jobs. Like a hardscaper is a great sourcer of jobs for me, because he knows that even though I know how to do it, I grew up doing it, I don't have anything to do with it. So they're not feeling like I'm going to take anything from them. So that was something I saw when we made the transition. I'm like, oh, well, he's giving me work now. And I asked, I said, well, you guys used to do all that work. I said, oh, that's true. I understand, like an irrigation company or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, I've had that in the past too, when we talked about getting out of fertilizing and turf treatments. I've got a good buddy that does it, and he's like, well, the second you get out of it, let me know, and I'll give you all the landscaping and everything else that my clients are asking for that I don't do.
Well, you make a network when you're small. You
Yeah.
have to make like that network. Like I have the irrigation guy, I have the fertilization. My brother's the stonemason. We have a network that if a customer wants anything done, we can still have it all done. Almost like a builder can sub out all, the HVAC and all that to build a house. We can do it this way too, where, we don't have to do it all, and we all help each other out in the way through it as well.
Right.
Yeah, that brings up another topic of subbing out work. I mean, do you sub out quite a bit, Scott?
I do sub out tree work. We do some irrigation. We do fertilization. I do mowing, but we don't do as much mowing anymore. So we're kind of more selective on our mowing. And then we do a lot more landscape installs and maintenance on that. So, I mean, we're getting more into just trying to transition more into landscape maintenance and installs and into all the mowing. I mean, the mowing's good as a back end for money wise to keep the week to week stuff. But I'm seeing more to where we're making better money doing the landscape installs and maintenance than we are the other stuff. So I mean, it's kind of, we're getting to that point where it's probably I'm gonna end up dropping a lot more stuff, like the ferts and the irrigation. I mean, we used to do tons of irrigation and ferts, and now we only do the customers that we actually maintain their mowing and their landscaping. So it's not like something we push out there. We only push out for the landscaping and that's about it right now. So
yeah, that's like all of my irrigation. I sub it out to another company, and they actually contacted me today about a client that they have that needs landscaping, right? But irrigation is just the one thing I'm just not really interested in. But we offer it with our full service contracts, and all those customers understand, that another company comes in and takes care of it for us. So yeah, there's a lot of good that can come with subcontractors, or just straight up just referring the work to them,
Right. I mean, I got a couple guys that we've actually pushed off some of our mowing to, and they switch over and send us the irrigation, or they don't do plowing, so we do their plowing for them. So it's kind of a win-win. So I mean, we get a little bit of stuff out of them, we send stuff to them. So I mean, you got to keep what you need to keep. What's your most profitable job, Paul? You would say
my job, meaning
let's
service, or job?
Yeah, you do a lot. Is your pruning like the most profitable?
It's probably the most profitable because we don't have to bring equipment on.
Right.
We without getting too into it, we charge the same no matter what we do. That's the way we working on our properties is a lot different than most of your landscape teachers or everybody's going to teach you how to do it. We just have a rate.
Right.
When we're there,
Right.
we're charging you rate. So I guess it's best that we don't have equipment running or trucks driving or trailers coming
Right.
pruning, planting. The most profitable work in anything we do is always putting a plant in the ground. There's nothing that compares to planting. We've done hardscaping, we've done stonework. I mean, real stone masonry, full width, but it still, to me, doesn't compare to a planting job. If you know how to plant it, to price the planting job correctly, there's nothing like, and install it correctly so that the plants aren't dying in the end also. That's,
Right.
to me, is the most profitable, is a planting job.
Right.
And design work.
Oh yeah. What about you, Mike?
I agree with the planting. I mean,
Yeah.
and making sure it doesn't die. I don't know, Paul.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you probably have some sort of warranty on your install work. For plants, for us, it's 1 year, and but there's a lot of stipulations too. They got to water
any
it.
kind of a warranty, Mike, you got to have a drip irrigation system on it.
Okay,
Yeah.
then you're smarter than I am.
Because if you're leaving it in the hands of the customer to water it, and you've put $10,000 worth of plants in the ground and you're leaving it up to them, that's a big mistake.
Yeah.
It's got to have an automated irrigation system on it.
Yeah, and a lot of ours have, but I've been to places too where it's obvious that they just didn't care one bit about it after you installed it.
And
Even though
a lot is the soil prep too, because a lot of guys, they think that the plant is beautiful up on out of the ground, but the most important part is under the ground.
Yep.
So planting them in sand and clay and stuff like that, you're just giving it a death notice, really. So
planting it in a clay pot's what I always say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
but to answer your question, Scotty, planting's definitely very profitable. For us, like the bread and butter that pays the bills is the full service work, because we know it's always there. We've got the signed agreements, for the year. And that's where the mowing comes in for me. I love to mow, but there's no money directly in that. It's because we have the full service, full meal deal, where we're making money on all the other things.
Right. Right. I mean, that's.
How about you, Scott? What's your top dollar thing there?
My top dollar is just like you said, the landscaping installs. I mean, we make good money on landscaping installs. Like you said, you got to put in the right stuff. I mean, we're always bringing dirt to install the plants. And then we did do this year, we are, requiring that we install, if they don't have an irrigation system, we're, putting in a drip line or any kind, making sure that their irrigation system's hitting everything to make sure. That's the only way we're guaranteeing plants anymore. Because we got burned last year real good on one. We planted 24 arborvitaes and we've had 12 die because the customer just didn't water. She didn't water. And she came out literally. She came out literally told us like 2 weeks later, I haven't been watering, is there something I can do? And, and we replaced them right away for free. And then they're already back to dead because she didn't water again. So I said, if you want them replaced, you're going to have to pay for them this time. And I'm going to have to put a drip irrigation in. And, she's agreed with that. So, I mean, that's the way you got to have it, make sure that everybody has a contract for that. I mean, that's definitely something that we make sure that's in the contract now, is to make sure it's totally tight that you got to have that irrigation system or a drip line in. So,
and usually this doesn't need to be said amongst professionals, but knowing what plants to put in what conditions too. I mean, if you could put $5,000 worth of shady plants in a full sun location, and you're going to have to replace every single one of them, no matter irrigation or not. So there's a lot. To me, knowledge is key in this game. It seems that there's a low point of entry into the mowing area, but to get into where you're really making money, you think you have to take some time and learn a lot of the intricacies of it to really make money right.
Right. I mean, you gotta, like I said before, you gotta tell the customer everything. If it's all gonna be, if it's all clay, let them know, hey, when I plant this plant, I got to put topsoil in there. I got to make sure that it's, dug just right. And I got to make sure you got the water going right. And, if you're just saying, yeah, I can plant that for you, they'll take you for that price. But, you're going to, like you said, you're going to be back out there replacing it and, taking care of it more than you need to. And, to us anymore, it's not worth it.
I think another big thing too is educating them on how they should take care of the plant as well.
Right.
You can take all the precautions when you plant it, but if they don't know what they're doing, proper fertilizers, when to prune, how to prune, watering, too much water, you can overwater it too. I mean, some people love them to death, right? And then end up
Right.
them
That's
where the roots don't get oxygen.
I've seen
So,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and arborvitaes, man, they're sensitive around here too. They're sensitive.
So Josh wants to know from Caravan, how many hours are you guys basing your work week off during the spring rush, summer, and fall? Who wants to go first? How about Paul? What do you base your work week off of?
40 hours.
How many hours?
40 hours.
40 hours? Okay.
My guys work 40 hours a week.
Okay.
I work probably 60 hours a week, but the guys work 40 hours a week. So they're 8-hour days. That's what we base it on. I think it's a huge mistake for companies of any size to schedule work for a Saturday. I think it's detrimental to the business to schedule work for a Saturday. Saturday is always a pickup day. If the guys want to work on Saturday, they ask you, you go to work on Saturday, you pick a job up. Or if it rains during the week, you always have a backup day. So that's how I do it. Whether you do a 10-hour day during the week or an 8-hour day during the week, it doesn't make a difference to me. But I would not schedule a day of work for Saturday. That's how I do it.
Totally agree. Totally agree. I mean, that Saturdays and Sundays are pretty much time for the family, and even your employees need that time with their family. If they want to work, I'm the same way. I'm glad that we can go out and do it in the spring and but most of the time, I'm like, hey, we're not working today. We can do something else.
Well, I do. I mean, like I'll go and deliver mulch, or I'll pick plants out. I'll go get the plants for a Monday morning job.
Right.
I don't want to call myself a workaholic, but I'm always doing something. So,
right. Oh yeah.
Repairs or fixing and stuff. But for the guys, I like them, to be able to have their Saturdays off and to be home by a certain hour. They have grandkids. They have, so yeah, it's a different world from the time when my father was in business. My father was in business. It was 6 o'clock and he'd go start another spring cleanup. We're like, Dad, what the heck? What are we doing here? Got to get the work done.
Right.
And it was Saturday all day and everything. And that wore on me. And I just said, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it that day.
Right.
How about you, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, it's real easy to get burnt out, I think, too. I'm 5 days a week. Past couple of weeks here with all the rain, we've worked some Saturdays. I worked a Sunday afternoon for the first time in years, just because we've had so much rain. But it was just me. I went out and enjoyed the day, just myself, got stuff done. I'm not going to ask my guys to come in on a Sunday.
Right.
And Saturday. I mean, honestly, I don't think we've worked a Saturday or Sunday where he's, I guess, he's come in at all this year. I've done it a lot in the past, but the more I get into it, I mean, and as far as 40 hours, that's pretty average. I find anything more than 8 hours in a day, and you start losing that productivity and you just start losing that steam anyways. So we've tried, 4 10s to see if that would work. Normally we don't get to do that until August anyways,
Right.
It still doesn't work. You're too darn pooped out by the end of the day. But I'd love to work 4 days a week and have Friday as a makeup day or Monday as an office day,
Right.
But I haven't found a way to make that work yet. There's always something that we're behind on or need to do. So 5 days a week, 40 hours, for me, kids go to bed in the evening. I'll come back out to the office and have a couple hours in the office to gear up for the next day or whatever, loading up equipment, working on stuff. But honestly, that doesn't even feel like work to me. I'm just tinkering around, just whatever. So,
yeah,
that's what I found works for me.
I agree with you. I mean, we work 8 to 9 hours a day, Monday through Friday. Saturdays has been really all winter's been working on my house. And, if my guy wants to come in and help, I'm usually like, hey, come on in, you can come out. He'll help me with the house. And that's about it. I mean, we haven't really done much mulchings on the weekends. Luckily we've dodged the rain because of not having so much mowing during the week. I mean, we've had that extra day to do extra stuff. So, I mean, it's good to have extra days in the makeup day. It's nice to, like to be able to go out and tinker. I mean, I come home and spend time with my kids. I mean, that's what I do after 5 o'clock.
That's awesome. Good.
So
That's what it's all about.
Oh yeah. Do you guys offer a discount to clients to secure a job? What do you think? No. I'm the same way. I don't.
Those aren't
I don't
the ones I'm
offer
looking
discounts.
I didn't even know that was a debate.
I guess it is a big debate.
Often, if they're looking for discounts and anything of that nature, if you're just starting off and you need the work, then go for it. But once you get your name out there to a certain point and you can start being more selective, that's not the clientele you want. They're going to be a pain in your butt. They're always going to nitpick you, never going to be happy, and always going to be looking for that big break. And they're what I call coupon shoppers. That's why I'm not on Angie's lists anymore. I was for a minute. Home Advisor and all those. It's all people just looking to save a buck and are so concerned about saving money that they don't realize they're costing themselves more money. So what about you, Paul? What do you think about that?
Discounts? No.
Come on, man. I just want 20%.
No, I you know what? Okay, so
what if I buy the materials, Paul? Will you install it for a discount?
From Menards?
Yeah, you're putting a shiver down my spine just saying.
I got this cherry tree twig out here.
I bought it from some guy on the corner for $20. Can you install it for 10? That's all I'm asking.
Warranty it for 5 years.
I remember a bunch of years ago, a customer says, "I bought the plants at Home Depot. I need you to pick them up and bring them to the house." I said, "You want me to go to the Home Depot with my truck and put plants in it? Really? That's what you want?" Not gonna happen.
Oh no, heck no.
I'll take care of friends and families and stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely. I'll take care of a lot of the people but a person that asks for a discount does not respect you, nor should you work for them. I mean, if you're offering to someone, says, "Don't worry about it, I'll take care of you on this one," that's one thing. That's coming from you. But a person that actually asks for a discount for whatever reason there can be, no, not going to happen.
Right. I understand.
That's
I'm the same way.
Red flag.
Yep.
Well said.
Yep. I feel the same way. I mean, I just recently had that customer was just looking for the cheapest person to do the cheapest job, and he wanted to buy the materials. He wanted to, give a discount if I lower the price. And I said, I can't lower the price. This is my price. I'd rather pick out the materials myself. I can let you pick out the color, but I'm not going to let you go get all the materials and then something be wrong with what I want. So, I don't give discounts on materials on anything really. So, I mean, that's the way I feel. You give them your price. It's, you are what you're worth. So,
I mean, I'll work with customers if they have a budget, and we have to do maybe the project in phases over a couple of years, or if we're at a certain number and they wanted to be at another number, okay, well then what can we pull off here? Maybe take a few of these plants away, maybe shrink this bed down, that's different. Some people are really, want to stick within their budget, but I don't consider that a discount. I just consider that just finding out what's going to work best for them, right? And what they need.
Well, yeah. I mean, you got to go and ask them their budget. I mean, if you go in there and just throw out a ballpark number and say, "Oh, it's $10,000 for everything that we're doing," and then they're saying, "Well, my budget was only $4,000." Well, then right off the bat that your services aren't going to work if it's more than what, unless you reduce down on stuff. So, I mean, that's the main thing too.
I think that's like. Scott, we were talking about logos on the side of my truck and stuff, and I say that I don't put my phone number on there. I'm just going to put my website, which is not happening right now because I don't have a website, still under construction. But that's part of my vetting process. They have to fill in, they have to do some work first before they even talk to me on the phone. We set up an estimate or whatever, and I feel like that's part of how I can vet them to see if we're going to be the right fit for them, they're going to be the right fit for us. And they're not just tire kicking, looking for a discount, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, because there's so many companies out there, and I think a lot of times somebody will just look for that cheapest customer, client.
Yeah.
And I'm not that guy, and I know you guys aren't they either. So I mean, you want, you know, what you're worth. I mean, you guys are, you know, Paul knows exactly how long it's going to take to cut, you know, trim some of those big arborvitaes he trims and stuff. And, you know, he puts his time into it, and he's not going to lessen his work for, for, you know, somebody that just wants to make the money real quick. So, you know,
It's apples and oranges. I mean, there's always going to be a company that's going to do it for less money. It
right.
always is, and that's fine. It's you can't have a hard feeling about that. I mean, we were all there at some point. I mean,
Yeah.
and if
Yep.
there is a discount that they can afford to give to a customer to be able to grow their businesses, you know, have at it. But where I am in my position in my business, where you know, it's not worth it for me because there is another person waiting for me to do the job at full price.
Yeah.
It's always what it comes down to. I mean, um, like I was saying before, having that power shift where you know you have work, you have what you need, you can almost be a little bit more choosy. And a lot of people now almost are embarrassed to ask for a discount or something because you're just not going to get it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Yeah, and I
Right.
know a lot of companies that have that wiggle room worked into maybe a larger job or whatever, where they're expecting, you know, to some negotiation to go on. But I still feel like I agree with you, Paul, where that's still not the clientele that you want, you know, because
No.
of the whole respect thing. And like
Mike,
you
if
said,
there's
we got.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no, when you have that respect and they appreciate you and your business and understand that, you know, you've got a family to feed and bills to pay and all these expenses and $100,000 or whatever it may be worth of equipment sitting out in the driveway, you know, they understand that. I found a lot of it. A lot of times, other business owners that I've worked for in the past are the most appreciative because they get it, you know.
Right.
If you have a wiggle room in your price already, and the customer takes advantage of that wiggle room and you think you did something good with that wiggle room, you make a huge mistake because now you have um it's just like training a dog. Now the dog knows what to do. He's going
Yeah.
to try every single time, and on top of it, he doesn't respect you, number 1, because he can now lower your price. Number 2, he thinks he got something over on you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really
Correct.
want to work
Correct.
for that person?
No.
That's not a good person to work for, someone that
Nope.
is blatantly trying to take advantage of you. And on top of it, the person thinks that you're inflating your prices and doing what you're just saying, the wiggle room. So now he thinks you're taking advantage of him if he didn't lower the price on you. So any kind of negotiations is very, very difficult, and it's hurtful in the end because it messes up the relationship because nobody trusts each other anymore.
Right. Right. I agree. So Jar's asking, do you guys offer military or first responder discounts? I mean, I know I give a discount to some of the seniors, um, just because you know, I know they're on a limited budget. But a lot of times it's, you know, I'm doing everything for them. So it's not like I'm just doing one or two things for them. Do you guys give any discounts for that, for being a first responder or anything? I mean,
Basically, I answered that already. If I want to
right,
give that person a discount, I will. Um,
right,
it really, you know, I haven't yet since I've been in business been well once, but I haven't been in that position. So, but if I did, absolutely, I would
right.
offer it. I wouldn't even. It wouldn't be something that's written on paper. Do I offer any kind of a military discount? It would just be something that I do.
What about
Yeah,
you, Mike?
I agree. I've never had that come up, but that's I agree with what Paul
One
said
of
on
those
that one.
things.
Yeah, that
I
makes
mean,
a lot of
yeah,
sense. If you're offering it, or like, you know, you have elderly people out there that um, may not know that they need certain services done when you're out there to perform something else, and you just go ahead and take care of it. You know, it's like pulling up
right,
the dumpster on somebody's property that you're out there. You know, it's little things like that. You know, of course, you know, you are providing a service, you are caring for them, so
correct,
you have to have somewhat of a caring mentality. You
But
know,
but it all comes down to being small. Being small and being the size that we are, we really don't have to have any of this stuff on paper. It comes down to, you know, who, you know, per situation, I guess is the best way to say it. You know, we're a larger company, you know, they're advertising that they're trying to get more clients because of that. But yeah, you're going to offer it because it's the right thing to do, but it's not something that I put down on, you know, brochures or flyers or stuff like that. You know.
Right. I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't tell any of my senior clients that it's, you know, a discount, but you know, if you know, I feel like that, you know, they need it, I will go ahead and offer it to them. You know, but like Mike said, you're doing stuff for them that normally nobody else would do. You know, I'm gonna bring up the garbage can for them. I'm gonna get their mail and bring it up to the door if I have to, and they're standing there. You know, I'm not gonna not take care of them because you know they're just you know a client. No, I'm gonna take care of them whatever way I can. So, you know, that's the way I feel it. You know, take care of your clients like you want to take care of.
Sure.
You know that lawn or that landscape's kind of like yours. You're maintaining it. You know, so. And like you said before, Paul, it's your image on there. You know, if you want your image to be, you know, the guy that just quickly goes through it and runs through it, then that's what you want. You know, if you want the guy that has, you know, the main that does everything for them, that you know, make sure it looks fully 100% perfect, then that's what you want. That's your image. You know, so
your reputation's your credit score, in my opinion.
Oh yeah,
and I think if you're cutting yourself short from the get-go on the numbers side of things, you know, you're not gonna be able to have that mentality out there on the job site. You're gonna be feeling like you're getting ripped off, like you're not making any money, like you don't care, you shouldn't care, you're not getting paid enough to care, whatever it may be. It's harder to have that mentality when you're not, when you don't know your numbers and you're not making what you should be or what you could be and what you deserve in the first place.
And the first time you hear your voice actually say the word "it's good enough," know that you're making mistakes. You're starting to make a mistake. Those words coming out of your mouth, "it's good enough." That's a tough set of words to come out of your mouth when you're on a job.
Yeah. The worst one is
good. It's not the customer's fault that you made a mistake pricing the job.
Good enough for government work.
Joe that works for me, he's 67. And when I started my business, I used to start off saying it's good enough. When I first started, we got to get out of here. I priced this, you know, too cheaply or too, you know, we're not making any money. And Joe, in his wisdom, said, if you want me to work here with you, you finish the job the way you started. And that's something that stuck with me my whole life. You when you get to a job, you're like, we're going to make this perfect. And then, you know, a day into it, you're like, oh, I'm losing my shirt. We got to start hurrying up. We'll put less soil in the ground. We'll cut some corners. He wouldn't go for that. And I'm thankful for him for setting me straight back then with that.
Yeah, that's so true. I used to work with my father-in-law. He worked with me, and you know, I worked with him on a few. He's a carpenter, framed houses and things like that, and he kind of enlisted that quality control aspect into me. And you don't realize it when you're young and dumb and don't really have it figured out, you know, that when you do perform that quality and you have that sense of pride from it, that's really what it's all about, is the pride you have in the job at the end of the day, knowing that you have performed and provided the best quality you could. You know, no amount of money is going to give you that feeling. And I think
don't want to make the mistake too many times, though, right, Mike?
Yeah, that's true. But you know what I mean. Like when you get that sense and the pride you get from the quality job, rather than just half-assing things or cutting corners, you know, that's a totally different ball game. And once you feel that, then that's what you're striving for.
Correct.
I guess this is part of maybe just growing up. I don't know.
A little bit.
There's a lot of grown-ups out there that still
not all the way there.
That is true.
Yeah. So what point in your business did you guys feel comfortable and confident to hire employees that would help you with labor? I mean, you know, is there any tips to ensuring making a profit off of having an employee?
Having enough work for them.
Right. I mean, mine was, you know, I had a lot of work and, you know, it was just, you know, I knew I could, you know, pay for that employee and, you know, have him to help me make money. I mean, that's how I went about hiring. I mean, I didn't go jumping off and hiring somebody right off the bat. I mean, it took me a good 4 years before I hired my first employee. I mean, I don't know about you guys.
See,
Mike,
I jumped right into it. I mean,
okay,
when I got into business, I was working for another company before that. And then I had a buddy of mine that worked with me at a previous company, and he pretty much followed me into business, and he was my
okay,
right-hand man for the first 4 or 5 years. And then we had other guys that we hired, and I just jumped right into it full board. And then I had a lady that's worked with me for 9 years, Lady Peg.
right,
And she kind of taught me everything about plants and all that knowledge, but I never learned right off the bat about the business side of things and knowing your numbers and your overhead costs and incorporating all that into your prices and not just throwing a price out there because you think that's what it should be, or that's
right,
industry standard, whatever. I didn't know
right,
all that. So I got into a lot of trouble because I didn't know my numbers, and you
Right.
hear that a lot now, but
right,
usually it's pretty vague. But once you understand your profit and what you're making from each job, and then you look at maybe your first year and what you have at the end of the year, like, oh, I'm kind of bounced around. But once you know that really, really,
right,
really good, and it's always going to change, and even if you don't have the expenses right off the bat that maybe you will incur later on with equipment or whatever it may be, account for all that. And know all that first, and then you know what you need to charge hourly, even if you're giving an estimate for a lump sum job, maybe you're estimating it's going to take you 2 days. Know what that hourly rate is. And then if you're going to add another, employee, then you're going to double that. That hourly rate should be per employee or
right.
somewhere in that vicinity. It works differently for everybody. But I think you really, really got to know your numbers first before you hire anybody. I can clearly say from experience, I had no idea. I just knew what I should pay somebody, $10, $15 an hour or whatever, and charging for them out there, because employees should make you money. That's what they're there for, not you, the business. They should make the business money.
Right.
They're getting a paycheck in return for making the business money. Like that's the trade. Some employees don't understand that, but that's what it's all about. So know what you need to be charging per employee out on the job or whatever it may be, and then go for it. And it's never been easier to learn all that information, but it's different to any individual business.
Right.
It's hard for solo operators that leave. I mean, let's face it, most landscapers are disgruntled employees of another landscaper, right?
Right.
Most landscape owners, anyway. So
Yeah.
when they leave, they usually leave their business, making $15 or $16 an hour, and are happy to make $15 or $16 an hour when they are working by themselves if they find clients. So they're usually pricing their jobs fairly, economically, and they fill up their days with all these lower priced work. Now that's fine to do, but once you take on an employee, you will lose your shirt doing it that way, because it just doesn't cut it. So Mike's giving the best advice that you can is to know how much you're charging and how much money, knowing your numbers. I know people say know your numbers, and it's almost like a cliche type thing of saying,
Yeah.
but really
Right.
going in and knowing how much it costs to run your business per hour,
You got to
even
know it.
as
Right.
far as per minute. My mind goes per minute. So when you're mowing, my mind is always, oh, this is 10 minutes. I know how much I need to make per minute. It's always there. And unless your mind is working in that fashion where you're always worrying about every minute you're on a job, take some more time before you hire someone out until you figure out that you're really making money. Because if you're not making money at 50,000, you're not going to make money at 100,000 either.
No.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
I agree with you. I mean,
Just
you got to know
larger company,
everything. I
more
mean, you got to
headache.
know down. Yeah. The more people you employ, the more you got to, that's more you got to produce, and that's, if you don't, like you said, if you don't know the numbers right off the bat, I mean, there's a lot to it. You got to factor in your gas, your,
Everything.
your insurance, your phone, if you got a jobber or something like that, you got to figure all that in there, and if you're paying, an accountant or whatever it is, figure that all in there. If you don't have that, and you say, okay, all I need is gas and my employee. Well, what about the equipment that's going to break down in 2 years? You know,
Well,
how
and
you going to replace
even
that?
if you don't
So,
have it, find out what it's going to cost and
right,
factor
right.
it
You
in
should
there
know that.
already.
Right.
Yeah.
Before you even hire that person, you should factor all that in, you know, and
Or
know exactly what it's
equipment.
going to cost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're either, paying maintenance on equipment, or if you're buying new equipment and saving for that, whatever, maybe you've got a loan on it, whatever it may be, find all that out as soon as you can and what that's going to be. And of course it's going to go up over the years, but then that way, you know what you're getting yourself into also. Like when I got into it, man, I saw the shiny object syndrome is what I call it, the SOS syndrome.
Yes.
Of other
Right.
companies and what they were doing and what they were using, and they looked to be successful. I was like, well, then I'm just going to model what they're doing. Obviously, they're doing something right. Well, that same company the next year might be out of business because they went bankrupt. You never know. You
Right.
can't judge a book by its cover with some of these companies out here.
I think it's and I don't know if this was a few years ago. They said most companies are right around 250,000 a year. That's in landscaping. It's the highest amount, and a lot of companies have a
Right.
hard time getting past the 2 crew thing because they
Yeah.
don't realize that once they become a 2 crew
Yeah.
company, it's hard to be an owner that's on the job.
Yeah.
And you lose so much money by you not being on the job because now you're out of overhead and not out of production. That's such a hard thing for a lot of small companies to wrap their heads around, that you need to hire almost 3 people just to make the same amount of money because you're not in the field anymore.
Yeah.
It's a hard
Right.
thing for people to realize, that just because you're hiring more people doesn't necessarily mean you're making more money. It almost makes
Yeah.
less.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer that you do, at least from my experience. The top line looks greater and you think, oh man, we're doing really good, but the bottom line at the end of the year just
Right.
is not there. But
Doesn't look right. Yeah.
I mean, once you have 2 crews, right, Paul, you probably need somebody selling, and then maybe an office staff of some sort, or a project manager, right?
Well,
So then you bump up those expenses as well.
it's funny because you know that's like no matter who I talk to, even in the local area, their goal is a 2 crew business, and I'm like, no, that's not your goal. The goal is to get out of a 2 crew business.
Yeah.
Because the problem is that now you've made this great crew. You have a crew leader that you found that's going to be this crew leader for you, that's going to run the other crew. But now you're the crew leader on the other crew. So now you have 2 guys or 1 guy that is, limited in their experience. What's going to happen when your other crew breaks down or needs materials or needs a part or something? You got to leave the 2 inexperienced guys alone for a lot of the time, or you got to go price work. The 2 crew because I was a 2 crew business. To me, is the worst size business to be. Either 1 crew or 3 or 4 crews. The 2 crew, it's not big
Right.
enough. It's not big enough to have a full-time office staff. It's not big enough to have a full-time salesman, but it's so hard to keep that 2 crew business moving. So
I completely agree.
Oh yeah.
And I've
I
experienced
agree.
that too. And it's once you break through that, then maybe, it is a different story for sure.
if you
But
have
yeah.
if you have the
Oh
personality
yeah.
to deal with all the rest of it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, because once you break through that, then it's
Yeah.
game on. You're no longer in the field
Yeah,
whatsoever.
no at all.
Maybe even hardly selling.
No.
Maybe you've got somebody or
Exactly.
multiple people selling for you as well.
But that's going on a different side tangent of a not
That's
small
true.
business talk, right?
Right. Right. So Jar asks, would you suggest when you hire your first employee to have them on their own crew or work alongside them? I would say work alongside them. The way we are going, I mean, we're going to, trying to stay all together. So, I mean, I know Paul would probably be the same way. I think Mike would be the same way too. I mean, I don't think I would. I mean, I'm never gonna probably go back to a 2 crew. I'm fine with what we are. We might bring 2 trucks to a job site. I know Mike's probably bringing 2 trucks now, and I know Paul, you're probably bringing a couple trucks, right, to a certain job site.
every day with 2 trucks.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's nothing wrong with bringing 2 trucks to a job site. I don't think. I mean, if you're bringing what you need equipment wise, and you know, it's nice to have that extra truck, I think. What do you think, Mike?
What I believe is that if you're if you're the biggest flag waver of your business, if you're the leader and you're the one that's trying to teach your employees, they need to hear it from you. They need to be taught from you.
Right.
Your ethic, your quality, what you want from them has to come from you, or if you have someone hired, from them. But they need to learn from you. You just can't put, in my opinion, people out on jobs that don't reflect your way of doing things. So to answer that question,
Right.
yes, they have to learn from you and do things the way you expect them to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would
it's a tough one.
agree.
I've been in, I've been in the scenario quite a bit, and a lot of times I want to be out there working with them, showing them how I'm doing it and lead by example. But then you can also fall into that aspect where they always expect you to be out there working with them, leading by example, right? Um, and then I've also hired guys where, I train them for a little bit, or maybe I have other guys that know how I need things done and how we do things. And then I'll just leave them. And when I'm out there checking in on them on a job site, they're doing really, really well. And I think, wow, this guy's a good hire. He's a very good employee. He cares, look at this. Wow. Rare find, right? And the second you leave, they turn into a totally different person. I was just talking to it about it today to my guy, and I had quite a few guys last year earlier on that I had hired, and one of them I thought he was just the bomb. Like, he was awesome, work ethic. He knew what he was doing, knew how to cut a clean edge, like all these things that usually you have to train. But evidently, the second I would leave, and he didn't last long, but the second I would leave, he'd turn into a total just butt, So it's funny how employees can have multiple, personality issues when you are there and when you're not there. But that's not everybody. But yeah, if you're going to be out there all the time, like you, Paul, you work side by side with your guys, and that's what they've grown to expect, then sure. But if you, as the owner or as the manager or whatever, aren't going to be out there, and you don't want them to fall into the idea of, if you're not out there, you're not working, which we know is not the case. But you don't want them to get used to you always being out there either. You want them to be reliable and trustworthy when you're not around as well, which, can be difficult. But if you've got a good manager, out there with them, crew lead, whatever you call them, then that can be a totally different story. Somebody that's relaying the message to you. And, if they don't like them and they don't, see any benefit of having them out there, then they're going to tell you, right? Because they're making their jobs harder anyways. So.
Right. I mean, that's so true. I mean, I always, when I hired people, before I'd send them off, I had to take them with me and, work with me for at least 6 months before I would send them off separately by themselves. And, you're always going to have that employee that, yeah, you think is, the bomb and always, doing the stuff that you want totally correct. And then the minute you walk away, they're not. And I've had that too, Mike. I mean, it's
we all have.
It's something you're going to deal with at all times. I mean, any business has got that guy that, when the boss is around, he'll do the work the right way. And when he's not, he'll do it the way he wants to do it, unless, you're around him all the time. So
one of the things I've always tried to enlist, and sometimes it's bit me in the butt, actually, a lot of times, is I always try to be their buddy, their friend. I want them to enjoy working with me, with whoever we've got working with us, and to enjoy the job and have fun and just enjoy the day. Right. And now that has bit me, because I've really grown close to some employees that just, it didn't work out so well, and I let them have a little bit more slack than they should have. And then they start taking advantage of you. So it can work both ways. But that trust and that loyalty is big too with anybody you've got working with you. Take care of the things that take care of you. I say it all the time, but I swear it's something I live by. And sometimes you can take care of them a little bit too much where they start to take advantage. But no excuses, no lying. Just tell me how it is, and the friendlier you are with them, and act more like a brother or sister, or like their family, the more honest they're going to be with you too, because they feel like they can feel more comfortable. It's kind of like kids,
Right. Yeah. I mean, you got to treat them like family. I mean, I treat all my employees like family, even in the past. I mean, get to know them. I mean, it's the best thing you get to do is you got to get to know them, their family. I don't know how many times I've met their mom, their dad, their brothers or aunts, and helped them out with whatever I could. But
Yeah.
it will sometimes it does bite you in the butt, and that's, I mean, what are you gonna do about it? I mean, Paul's been around his guys so long, he probably knows everything in and out about them. So,
Joe's like another father to me.
So, I wouldn't doubt it. So
I've spent more time with Joe in my life than I had my wife. So, and that's not even I have, and
right.
That's going to be one of my biggest heartbreaks is when Joe decides to retire, because there's nothing that I love to do than work with him. John, he's been with me for 15 years, 13, 15, something like that. And it's just work is just enjoyable. It's,
Right.
they play with each other. They joke with each other. There's hardly any arguments. And if they do argue, it's done with, and I know I'm in my day. They call it the good old days. These are my good old days. It's never, I know that it's not going to be like this in 5 or 10 years, but hopefully it is. But yeah, I've grown to have really close relationships with my guys. They're my family, so.
Right.
And I think that's for
Nice.
somebody that's looking to hire. I think that's something you definitely need to look at is their personality. Can you just get along with them no matter what they know or don't know or whatever? If you can be a team out there and just have fun together and enjoy each other's company,
yeah,
you can teach them whatever you need to teach them, especially if they're going to stick around for 20 years,
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Or I guess he taught you everything. I don't know.
He probably did.
Money making Mike G.
Yep, everybody is out. So, well, that's all I got. How do we find you guys? Paul, where do we find you at?
My name, Paul Camara, on Instagram, and I do also have a small little one for the business, SG Landscapes and RI, or SG Landscapes RI. I don't know how it's written, but something like that. Yeah, stuff. I got a small YouTube thing, but I really don't. It's Paul Camara, but I really don't do a lot of posting there.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah. Mike, how do we find you?
Instagram, Gunn Landscaping, Gunn. YouTube, Gunn Landscaping, Gunn. Lawn Care Community Podcast, even though I'm slacking over there. Email. Don't call me, though. I won't answer.
Scott, before you tell us your thing, I need you to tell me how you say your last name.
Can I try it first before you say it?
Oh, can Mike try?
Go ahead. I'll let Gunn try it.
Yeah.
Horoszewski.
Yes, you're correct.
Sweet.
You've been getting that one right.
You got it? How was it? How was it said?
It's Horoszewski.
Wow. That's definitely not phonetic.
My grandfather used to my grandfather used to say Horoszewski because he came from Poland. So he kind of switched it over. But I mean, it's always been Horoszewski, and
Horoszewski.
I get a lot of the old Polish people. Yeah. So I mean, that's how I've always told my kids is just say Hor, Zoo, and then ski. That's all you got to remember. It's real easy.
Yeah.
So and don't shorten it to the first part.
That's right. Never shorten it. Just keep it that way. Okay.
Right.
And don't look too far into the spelling either.
No. Don't do that.
That's good.
Don't change nothing. So, but you can find me guys at Landscapes by Acme, Instagram, YouTube. You can find us all on EMB Community. We are on echomeansbusiness.com. We are UAG members. So if you guys got any questions, hit us up. We're in a lot of the forums. You can message us directly if you want. Look us up there. This is a pro networking series. We have one every 2 weeks. We'll be back in 2 weeks on building a business line of credit. There's going to be a lot of good people on there. I don't know who's there going to be there, but it's a good session to learn about the different lines of credit. I think Josh Kiravan's going to be on there. He's going to be the moderator, I think. And that is May 27th, guys. So at 8 p.m., be back here and have a great night, guys. thanks guys for all being here, and thank you too for enjoying the time that we had. It was
All
a
right,
great
thanks.
time, guys. Thank
See
you
you
Be
guys.
there or be square.
That's right.
There
Later,
you go,
guys.
Paul. That's the best I can do. Later.
Later.